Hey kids, it's Englentine here. So how did you spend your hurricane? Personally, I spent mine reading comic books, a whole ton of independence. I caught up, and I'm very happy to do it. Now, surprisingly, this time around, there were some bad ones, and there were some good ones. That's not a surprise, because we get to pick and choose the independents, so usually we get the gems, the diamonds in the rough. However, this time, there were also some turds. Anywho, there's plenty here to check out, and there's a lot here that I think you would be happy with if you tried. So when you get a chance, if you can find them, give them a try. Easy peasy. The one-star books are the worst of the worst, the ones you should definitely avoid. I cannot imagine a more worthless book than Grimm Fairy Tales Armed Forces Edition. If you're into hentai, look up hentai. I would definitely not say spend money on this. It's a series of pinups with just very little dialogue at the beginning. It's, like I said, it's a worthless book. Savage Dragon number 226. Now, I did a full-length video of this. Check it out. It's a cool video, and it basically goes through all the problems that the book has. Mostly, I had a problem with the art, and I've been taken to task for it, so some people like it. It might just be me. I didn't like the whole little girl in a school outfit. Then you find out that it's his wife, and, man, that just bothered me a lot. Anyway, and also the politics of it. It's just... This is one very hateful book. It's an unclean read. And by that I mean after you read it, you feel unclean. It's that filled with hatred and vile and venom. I mean, it's one thing to have different political views, but to go after the opponents this much. I mean, there is something definitely wrong with the man who wrote and drew this book. And I talked to him, and it was confirmed. It's just spiteful. The two-star books are merely bad with some saving grace, keeping them from being truly horrible. Hi-Fi Fight Club. Now, it takes place in the 90s in a boutique record shop, and they want to be high in fidelity, but miss the mark greatly. First of all, the lingo, the dialogue is just not right. Second of all, they're supposed to be music snobs, and they recommend stuff like TLC. No, that would be like somebody saying, hey, I'm really into music, and I'll go deep cuts. Here's Taylor Swift. You know, it just doesn't happen like that. And they should be recommending stuff that people have never heard of, and that's a music snob. So it's kind of really missing the boat on that one. The dialect is definitely not 90s, even though, you know, that's the era they were going for. It's a lot of nitpicking, but overall, this is the definition of a book that tries too hard. It's not horrible, it's just not good. Van Helsing versus the Werewolf number 1. What is this? Xenotrope or something like that? Anyway, they made a comic book. You know, you got to applaud them for that. It's got a cover, it's got a back, it's got pages in between. And on those pages are art and words. Gee, what else can I say good about this? It's colored very nicely, and the drawings look like the things they want them to look like, so the art's not bad. The story is dumb. She wants to steal a sword she has no right to. She breaks into the Forbidden City, gets attacked, and I don't know if we're supposed to be on her side, but I'm like, yeah, she's not even an interesting enough character to carry me over to even care about what she's doing, much less wanting her to get away with stealing. It's one of those situations where she's the good guy because the book says she is, and otherwise, I don't know, it's just not an entertaining book. It really isn't. Zodiac Star Force number 1. Oh, I'm sorry. Zodiac Star Force Cries of the Fire Prince number 1. Now, forgive me for forgetting that subtitle, because I didn't even know there was a fire prince in this. There isn't. This is about a group of girls with superpowers that are some sort of team. It's not really explained what or why they're a team. They just have superpowers, and they are. And that's fine. But there's no real motivation to do anything. Yeah, they've got a supervillain, and they fight it. But it's like, okay, so why are you a team? What are you doing? What's the central theme of the story? And it occurred to me that this is the perfect Marvel comic. And one of the things that hit me then is I all of a sudden realized what's wrong with Marvel Comics. And I'll do a bigger video about that. But this is absolutely everything wrong with Marvel in this one book. The Walking Dead number 171 introduces a character that I called the new Riri. Or at least she was trying to act like. Now, I've been called out for that too. Some people say I was just way too sensitive. They like the character. So check it out because, you know, you may enjoy it a lot better than I did. I didn't like the fact that they dragged identity politics into The Walking Dead, especially considering that this stuff is supposed to have happened a while back and before identity politics really took hold as anything relevant. So it truly feels out of place for me. However, I've had people, talk to me in the comments section. So this is something that is really something I see. So check out my full-length review. Check it out. Check the book out yourself, and you can decide, do identity politics really belong in The Walking Dead? The 3-star books are merely average. You might like them, you might hate them. For us, it just didn't move the needle. Oh yeah, Revolution is it. Oh my gosh, this is, I am the wrong guy to read this book. But if you are a 90s kid with children now, this is awesome. I think, it's done in a very cartoonish style, definitely for younger kids, but it's done with 90s properties, except for Rom. And so, like I said, that's who this book is for. It's fun. I'm not going to take that away from it, but it's definitely aimed at a very specific audience, and I know I'm not that audience, so I'm going to put this at the 3-star just for that reason alone. Lola XOXO number 2. Well, you know what? The good news is there is no story to get in the way of the plot, which is kind of sad because actually the art is very welcoming and it does have a good page flow. I mean, that's kind of weird to say for a book that story is just dropped, but I found it to be an easy read and I wanted to continue reading it. But as much as I wanted to like it, they wouldn't let me because it's one of those books that believe in the whole J.J. Abrams mystery box thing. Problem is if you don't give us any information at all, we can't care about the characters. And in this case, it's one of those situations where we know the bad guys because the people we're following are looking at them going, hey, those are the bad guys. The art is inviting. The characters seem inviting. But unfortunately, without characterization, there's nothing for us to root for. The Black Sable number 1. I've got to say, Zenoscope seems to be like Full Moon is in video. They are low-budget action films, in this case action comics, that always star a woman. And that's not a bad thing. But also, they don't really seem to be into any kind of story or depth. In this one, you have a space pirate. And it does all the space pirate things. All the tropes are there. The invading another ship. The firing across the bow. In this case, they're dealing with or alien trafficking and slavery. The problem is that it's Dixie Cup deep. There's nothing to it. It's paper thin. You could read it, and it's not going to be offensive at all. But very soon after you're done reading it, it will be out of your head. There is nothing here to grasp onto, no hook. Overall, it's just very, very average book. Outlander number 1. I gotta say, I actually wanted to like this book a lot better than I did. I like the look of it. The art's pretty good. It's got a futuristic Western style, like Firefly, except for they're on land and not in space. So I was looking forward to it. And when you read it, it brings in a lot of fantasy elements as well. So it's kind of a big mixture, Western, fantasy, sci-fi. So this is an ambitious book. Unfortunately, all its ambition seems to be into world building rather than storytelling. So instead of getting any kind of coherent story, you're getting a mishmash. And what it ends up being basically a book about nothing. The characters are okay. The sheriff, the lead character, she seems to be fine. But overall, it just leaves you empty because without knowing what's going on, once again, you got a situation where you're pointed at and saying they're the hero just because the script told you so. Donald and Mickey #1, yet another of the Disney IDW books. And I understand I am not the demographic they're going for, but kind of am. I mean, it's an anthology book, so it's going to be a mixed bag. In this case, there's 2 strong stories in 1 week, when the last one is a little bit weaker. There's 2 Donald Duck stories, 1 Mickey. And the first Donald Duck is a lot of fun. He sells hot dogs with a special sauce the entire city loves, and when he takes a day off, the city loses its mind. And the second one has Mickey trying to stop a criminal called the Blot. And they're fun and entertaining. And yeah, it's both childish, yet doesn't become kiddish, I guess, immature, I should say. So it is entertaining, and it's a lot of fun, and I would recommend these to anybody who has kids or are a big fan of Disney like me. Generation Gone #2. I'm not going to lie to you. This is the 4th time I've tried to record this review, and mainly it's because I have no idea what to say about it. It's good, but there's absolutely nothing that makes this book stand out. I mean, it is the most average book I have ever read. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like that Josh Trank film with the kids. Not the Fantastic Four, obviously. What was that, Chronicle or something like that? Anyway, the government's experimenting on kids. They give them superpowers. The kids are discovering them and playing with them. The adults are, of course, being backstabby adults. It's very much a kids good, adults bad kind of book. It's there, and it's in print. And, it was put together fine. So, like I said, it's an incredibly average book. Green Hornet 66 meets The Spirit. And, wow, this is just a fun book. This reminds me of why I like the characters. It definitely embraces the pulp feel. It's bright, though. It's colorful. I mean, so it's kind of a mix. I mean, it's definitely the pulp heroes brought into the 60s just for the colors alone. The action is good. The art is really what makes this book stand out. The story is iffy at best. I want to really, really love this, but it's got a twist ending that made me go, oh, okay, I'm into that. But the journey to get there, aside from the action, is a little weak, because it takes a little side trip talking about a guy who holed himself up in the 50s during the bomb scares and such, and it really never recovers from that particular scene. Otherwise, it's a decent book. It's just not great. The 4-star books are good. These are the stories in comics we can actually recommend. Archie #23. So, Archie's having a hard time dealing with the news that Betty Cooper, spoiler alert for everybody who hasn't been following this series, is possibly going to be confined to a wheelchair for the rest of her life. Now, he wants to do something nice. The rest of the group are deciding to do all of her community service, so he wants to pitch in and help, and it goes not as well as he wants, because he's Archie and somebody has to be the butt of the jokes. I always thought that was like Jughead's job, but in this one, Jughead seems to be a little bit pissy. I don't know if I like the new Jughead so much. The story actually manages to be emotional while at the same time it's cheesy in places. Archie has really kind of stepped up its game in recent years. I guess, got to give praise to Mark Waid when he does something right, and he's been doing this right. In the wake of the whole Marvel Comics debacle, a lot of people are saying, wow, go to DC Comics. DC Comics is really kicking butt at this. But the thing is so is Valiant. I mean, with very few exceptions, Valiant has an excellent run of books. And War Mother is no exception on this one. It isn't the exception. It's the rule. It's a really good book. It's drawn well, and it tells the story of a woman who at one point killed the leader of this town, and so now she feels responsible and people look up to her, and she has to move them, but she needs to find a place, and she's been out in the world outside of their walls and knows how violent it is, so she's trying to clear a path so she can move her people into safer, more fertile ground. And it's a very dramatic, very tense, very well told story, and I recommend it highly. Faith in the Future Force number 2. So, okay, the first issue really didn't thrill me. It was good, but it wasn't anything spectacular. This one took a little bit of a different angle. So Faith in the, basically, Harbinger, they're time traveling to stop a killer robot that's destroying time. And one thing it shows very well is that superheroes don't always have the answers. And that's actually one of the strengths that Faith has always faced. She wants to be a comic book superhero, but she just doesn't know how. And it is this kind of deconstruction of your usual superhero / time travel story that really elevates the book past, well, definitely past what the first issue was. And I think there's some decent ideas, including a villain that makes you really wonder how are they going to defeat him. And that in itself is, definitely worth admission. Now, this is a book that allows world building plus good storytelling. Superb number 2, where we have a world where superpowered people have started to appear. Some have become dangerous, so they've been basically hunted down and imprisoned. Not really imprisoned, but, put into a facility where they could be studied and maybe cured. One person decides to become a costume superhero, Cosmosis, and the institution that takes care of the superpowered beings want to catch him. And it's a very simple story, yet it's very effective. It kind of turns the superhero genre on its head while imitating all of the tropes of the superhero genre. So, yeah, like I said, it's entertaining, it's interesting, definitely one to pick up. Sometimes we don't bother with something that has high numbers, mainly because it's been around so long you either know you're going to enjoy it or you're not. In this case, Usagi Jimbo, and I probably said that wrong, it's probably Usagi, number 161. I wanted to get this out because it could be one of those that because it's got a high number, a lot of people pass up, and because Savage Dragon made an impact, I got to get this out here. This is a fun book. In this case, it's a mystery. There's a thief who's going to rob a house, and when she goes in, it's a house of a doctor. She discovers the corpse, and there's not a mark on him. It looks like he died of natural causes, but the thief is having the murder blamed on her, so she's got to figure out what happened, and so does Usagi Yojimbo to help her out. Like I said, it's entertaining, it's a fun book, and it's something, if you haven't given it a try, you should. The Kingsmen, the Red Diamond, number 1. So it begins with Eggsy having to rescue the Duke of Edinburgh, who he immediately lays out after he does so, and he's put on a forced leave of absence because all he's been doing is searching for one mission after another, and he goes home. And surprised to find out that even though he's got money now and the agency, the Kingsmen, put his family into a rich neighborhood, his mother moved back into the poor neighborhood that he went to, he grew up in, and he ends up finding out that it's just a you can't go home again situation. And that is the crux of the story, all the while we're also being introduced to the villain and the characters who are going to play a part in the story. It's very much a setup issue, and it really depends on how much of a Kingsman fan you are, if you're going to enjoy it or not. I really enjoyed the first story, and I really, so far, am enjoying this one. The Green Hornet 66 meets the Spirit, number 3. I've been following this book and enjoying it. Obviously, I had to do 2 reviews of it this time around, and it's still holding up. And this one, I did have to read this one twice, mainly because I was like, well, am I really into it? And then I read it, I was like, oh, okay, that was the point. That's what they're getting at. And, yeah, so it's not as good as the second issue, but it's still pretty decent. It's still something I would recommend. Now, in this one, we have the Green Hornet and Spirit going after a guy named Butcher Boy, and they're trying to find out something about the capsule, a space capsule. It's about to crash into Chicago, and that has the city in a panic. Overall, very entertaining. If you're fans of the characters, you'll be fans of the book. Elsewhere, number 2. This is another book that I wanted to do a follow-up because the first one I enjoyed, and another one that just continues the quality. So here's the story of Amelia Earhart, and we find out where she goes, basically. And while she's there, she runs into D.B. Cooper. So this is the place where people who disappeared have gone. But they go in, obviously, time is not as linear here as it is there, because D.B. Cooper was there before Amelia Earhart. So it is an interesting play. It plays off of time travel as well as the fantasy elements of the story and the sci-fi. It really does put these tropes together in a way that feels fresh and new, and it's an interesting take on historical characters as well. I really do recommend you pick up this book and check it out. Shirtless Bear Fighter number 3. My goodness gracious, this book just keeps getting more and more fun. In this one, he's been captured by his brother Bear, his bear brother, and we learn the origin of the Shirtless Bear Fighter a little bit more. We delve into his motivations, the fact that his bear brother had killed the woman that he fell in love with. Also, we get to meet the person behind the bear attacks, who ends up being a moist towelette maker who wants to destroy the forest in order to make his business grow. And we learn that the greatest weakness that the Shirtless Bear Fighter has is to be forced to wear a shirt. I mean, this is one of those books that you have to read to really appreciate, because when you describe it, it really does sound stupid, but it is just totally awesome. Mighty Mouse number 3. So, this book is just a ton of fun. I mean, it's cartoonish. They try to set it as a cartoon in the real world, and the things that they do with this concept are just dead on. It's a lot of, like I said, it's a lot of fun. At one point, Mighty Mouse is taking care of his friend's bullies for him, and they mentioned how cartoon physics don't work in the real world, but it turns out that Mighty Mouse can affect cartoon physics as he punches one of the bullies and his neck stretches up and then snaps back. It doesn't kill the kid, it's cartoon. And I thought, wow, okay, that is an interesting twist. That's pretty cool. I like that. And, I mean, it's just stuff like this. They really do stretch the medium, like the neck. And you just have a great time with it. And that just makes us have a great time with it as well. And the 5-star books are the best of the best. The ones we highly recommend for the week. Clue number 3. Now, I have been singing the praises of this book since number 1. I did a full length video for the first issue, and if you're not reading this one, you're comic booking wrong. Seriously, if you're complaining about Marvel and yet you're not reading the Clue book, I don't see what you got. You're doing it to yourself, man, because this book is awesome. It's fun, it's funny, it's a mystery all at the same time, because they leave clues throughout. I have an idea who I think it is. They're halfway through, and the twist at the end was something that made me sit up and go, oh, snap. Yep. I watched My Name is Earl. Anyway, it's got scenes like this where basically they break the fourth wall and one of the characters yells at the editor or the writer. Anyway, but I mean, this is one of the best books on the shelf, hands down. Tons of fun, and I highly recommend it. Normally, we do not review books past a certain issue. Especially if they're miniseries like Project Superpower's Hero Killers. Mainly because, I mean, at this point, you should pick up the trade. So even if I tell you how good this book is and it's amazing, it's not something I can recommend, because at this point, wait for the trade. Unless you're a single issue buyer, then yeah, I get it. That being said, this is incredibly fun. I mean, it's just out there. Whoever thought of this has some serious therapy bills. It's about a whole bunch of sidekicks that at first accidentally kill themselves through their not kill themselves, but kill their way through the superhero universe. And then they just find themselves on a path they just can't get off of. It's funny, it's fun, it's irreverent, it's violent as hell, and just pure entertaining. So there you go, kids. One big batch of independent comic book reviews. What did you think? Did you read any of these? And if so, what did you think? Is your opinion different than mine? If it is, let us know in the comments. Don't let me be the only voice. Put yours in the comment section and tell people, hey, he's wrong. This sucked, or this was better than what he said. You know, get that out there. I'm not infallible. Plus, more opinions is better for readers to make a decision. Also, if you haven't read these yet, is there anything that made you think, hey, that looks cool, or hey, I'm glad you reviewed that because I was going to pick it up and it looked like it sucked? Put that in the comments below also. If you haven't done this already, click like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. And please, if you like our videos, and I assume if you made it this far you do, please go on over to Patreon or VidMe and drop $1 into the till. Help us out. You know, we've got patron-only content there as well. So if you do put $1 into the till, you get more than what you would here or others normally. Either way, you know, we would like to thank everybody who's already done that. We'd like to thank everybody who will, you know. And really, thank you very much for watching the videos, guys. Thank you very much for watching.